Hello, and welcome. You may wonder if your embouchure is serving you well. You may wonder what's happening if your embouchure collapses. Are you the only oboe player that experiences this? And the answer is no. So, what's going on when our embouchure collapses? Is our embouchure set up correctly? Are we using our muscles efficiently? These are questions that all oboe players, I think, at some point in their journey ask themselves. It may be that they've taken a break from playing and practicing, and coming back is proving to be difficult. Whether that break is 2 weeks or 20 years, it doesn't really matter. The muscles know not how long you've been away in terms of how they behave. An oboe embouchure needs to be formed every day for it to remember where to go. And so any sort of time off of the instrument can lead to challenges with your embouchure endurance. And that's what today's live presentation is about. Thank you for joining me for 4 tips to improve the endurance of your embouchure. My name is Erin Brophy. I am the principal oboe player of the Saskatoon Symphony and a sessional lecturer at the University of Saskatchewan. Thank you for joining me today. The reason that I'm doing these live trainings is that I had a really tough time improving on the oboe. And that has a lot to do with where I'm from. I'm Canadian. I'm from Northern Canada, a remote part of Canada. If you can imagine a place, an evergreen forest on the edge of a crystal clean lake, that's where I grew up. It was idyllic until I started the oboe. And that's when all the trouble started. Because I live so remotely, I did not have access to good information. I did not have access to an oboe teacher, certainly. I did not have access to a functioning instrument, and I did not have access to functioning reeds. And for that reason, I found trying to improve on the instrument incredibly frustrating. And there were many times when I almost gave up. If you fast forward now to 25 plus years, I feel very grateful that I make my living playing the oboe. And now I help other people on their oboe journey. And I reflect that my experience of the instrument did not have to be that frustrating. With access to good information, the journey can be so much more fun. And so that's why I'm doing these live presentations, is because I don't want you to have to struggle the way that I did. It's also why I created an online program called the Oboe Path. The Oboe Path has broken down the steps necessary to improve on the instrument. Using a group online masterclass, a customized personalized plan, and one-on-one feedback, an oboe player is able to play with joy and ease. Because of the masterclass, an oboe player joins a community of like-minded oboists, all wanting to improve, and this helps with accountability and inspiration to practice. With the personalized, customized plan, improving and practicing the oboe is able to fit into your busy life. And with the one-on-one feedback, an oboe player comes to every time they practice, knowing exactly what to practice, so they see the results immediately. Gosh, I love the Oboe Path program. So let's get to it. 4 tips to improve the endurance of your embouchure. So the first thing we have to talk about in terms of endurance with your embouchure is, of course, the reed. Perhaps you have observed that some reeds require more endurance than others. I sometimes call this resistance. Sometimes a reed is more resistant than another reed, and for that reason, you need to use more of the muscles in your face in order to make that reed function. So if you're looking to increase your embouchure endurance, I might invite you to look at the resistance of your reed. Are you playing on reeds that are too hard? Should your reeds be easier so that your embouchure can endure for a longer period of time? It may not be that you need to play on easy reeds forever and ever. It may be that you can build up over time to a harder reed, But I would suggest that freeing up or easing up your reed may help your embouchure last a little bit longer as you're trying to build up its strength. So looking at the resistance of your reed can really go a long way towards making it easier to get back in shape or to build up the muscles of your embouchure. The second thing that I'd like to talk to you about is that collapsed embouchure. So what I mean by that is if you hold your embouchure in a certain way and at a certain point you hit what I call failure, where you can't hold the muscles in the way that produces the most beautiful sound, and your embouchure kind of collapses down. You may have your soft palate might start to release, and that gives kind of a gurgling sound. And that is just because your muscles are tired. You have reached like critical crisis in your muscles, and they won't follow what your brain is telling them to do because they're too tired. And this usually happens as you're building up your embouchure, maybe when you're an ensemble, if you're playing in a wind ensemble or a band, or you're playing a very long orchestra part, you may find that your embouchure collapses. This is just an indication that you need to take a break. If this is happening and you're practicing, it's very easy to take a break. If this is happening when you're in your ensemble, fear not. If you're in a concert situation, I would say you probably have to keep practicing. But if you're in a rehearsal situation and you're playing tutti, just take a little 20 seconds of the reed off of your face. What's going to happen is you're going to have some blood flow back to your face. And that's going to, because when your muscles get tired and collapse like that, it's because there's not enough blood flowing there. So you just need some time for some blood flow to come back. It's much like a runner in a race, maybe walking for a bit or stopping for a little bit is going to give you some time for your body to get back into playing again. So taking a 20, 30-second break, no shame as you build up your endurance. Do take that time. That's going to really, really help you. I think that also the more you play in that collapsed position, it's to your detriment. I think that the more as you're trying to build your muscles, you can stay in the formation that you're looking for. The more you can stay there, the better. So the more conscious time you can stay in that embouchure, what that's going to do is really help you establish those muscles. So when you enter into that collapsed mode, I would take breaks. I would take breaks over a good deal of time. It may be if you're practicing, take 5 minutes. It may be 20 or 30 seconds just to allow that blood to flow. The third thing I want to talk to you about is how you get that blood flow into your embouchure. And this is going to look a little funny, but one of my favorite things to do is to stretch my embouchure like this. And, these are kind of like theater exercises of how to really stretch these muscles. If I want to do this on stage, I just actually cover my mouth like that. And that really helps the blood flow back into my embouchure. You can see it's just turned my face just a little red because there's now some blood flowing back in. The other one I really like is to flap my lips like this. Now this has a sound attached, so you can't do this in a concert. Or if you do choose to do it when the timpani and the brass are playing, just to get that flow. But I do find that stretching really, really helps me get the blood flow back into those muscles so that I can then form the embouchure that I'm looking to form. So I think that could really help you. In addition to taking the break, is to do some stretching. Now, and what that stretching looks like is probably based upon your face, but you can see I'm moving my face in funny ways, like stretching it this way and this way and this way and this way, so that I can try to get some blood flow. Oh gosh, that feels good after a day of practicing. So the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about, the fourth tip in terms of building up your embouchure, is to be patient with yourself. These little muscles are not like our biceps. We use these muscles every day. And for that reason, they have it's great. They have this ability to work a lot longer than our bicep or our quadricep. They are not like those major muscle groups because we can use them every day, which is great news. The flip side of that is that when you take a break from playing, if it's more than 24 hours, then it's almost like these muscles sort of forget a little bit how to work. So thinking of building your embouchure is like a journey that takes some time. And be patient with yourself. It is something that over the course of the days will get easier and easier and easier. I would suggest the more days in a row that you can play, the sooner you're going to be able to have the buildup of strength in your embouchure. I almost feel like my embouchure has a 24-hour memory, and then it sort of loses its elasticity. And that's no problem. I'm not saying that you should have to practice every single day. And I do take breaks from practicing regularly. However, when I'm building back up, I think that if I say I'm shooting for a concert, if I'm very conscious of playing at the beginning of my playing day, of really thinking about the shape and feel of my embouchure. So I'm really setting my embouchure for that day, for just after the period of time I've taken from practicing, really being conscious of how I'm setting up that embouchure. That can really help you to have a more consistent way that you're coming back to the instrument without having to deal with the collapsing. If you can spend a little bit of time and know that it's going to slowly increase in its strength over time, and it will. I promise you, it will. You just need to be patient with it. And when I say over time, for me at this point, I mean, I've been playing for more than 35 years. It is over a couple of days that I can really connect back to my embouchure. If it's been a little while, say it's been 20 years, I think it would be reasonable to expect it would be about 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks before you start to see some of the strength come back into your embouchure. If you're at the beginning of your oboe journey and you're trying to build up that strength, I would suggest that you consider it maybe, again, a 3 to 4 week process of building up that and increasing slowly over time. You want to increase the amount of time that you are actually practicing and playing the oboe. And obviously you don't have control over your rehearsals, but I'm talking about your practice time. Say, for example, you hit critical peak collapse after 5 minutes on your first day. The next day, 6 minutes. The day after that, 7 minutes. It will get better. Our embouchures are remarkable at their ability to adapt and to gain strength quickly. I think that our biceps and quadriceps work very differently from this kind of strength building. Going back to the reed and resistance, you may be wondering, well, gosh, maybe my reeds are too hard. How do I know? Well, I have a training that I would like to share with you. It's a free video and PDF that talks about how to choose a reed. And one of the things that I talk about is resistance and how a reed reacts in terms of resistance, and how you can read the read R-E-A-D. You can R-E-A-D, the R-E-E-D, so that you can make maybe a better choice if you're going into a concert and your embouchure is not feeling that strong, that you could make a better choice in your case, in your reed case of the options that you have. That training is below this video. There's a link. You can just register and it'll be sent. You'll be sent to a page that'll take you right there with the video and the PDF and everything. And I hope that would help you. Let's all become the oboe players we were meant to be. The oboe players that everyone wants to play with. Let's play the oboe with joy and ease. Take care.